Hey guys, Marvin here from Driven by Graphics. I just wrapped up completing this action set for Ashley Dodd at Aparecium Design Company. Basically, an action set I created was a series of actions, and I'm going to go ahead and show them to you here and show you how to load some actions, and then what the action set is and the functions of each of the actions that I created. So I have the full version of Photoshop here. These actions do also work in Photoshop Elements. There is one slight difference in the elements, which I'll go over whenever I get to those steps. But within Photoshop, this is kind of the default view, if you will, within Photoshop. If you don't have, in this panels here, the actions panel will typically look like a play button. If that's not visible, you go here to Window and then Actions, and that'll bring up this panel of actions. Again, by default, I went ahead and closed out. I don't have the action set that I created loaded in here, so I'll show you how to load those. Essentially, go here to where these series of lines are, and you'll go to Load Actions. Now, this would have assumed that you had already downloaded the actions and saved them to your computer somewhere, so I have them here, and I'll just click Load, and then that loads the full set of actions here. Now, this is a set of 7 actions. The first one here, so I'll go through them, is an action that will automatically resize a large drop to a medium-sized drop earring. Again, these are for Aparecium Design Company's blanks, and there's the sizing to these actions are specific to those blanks. So these are really only going to work with those specific blanks. So I'll go through real quick. I will show this particular design is from Ashley, and if I go to image size, let's change this to inches, and this does show this is the large size with the bleed area built into it. Make sure your edges get full coverage. So we'll just click here on the action to make sure it's selected, and then click play. Now this went ahead and resized in the background here, and it automatically prompts you to save this now as, you know, whatever you'd like to save it as. In this case, I'm going to save it as the same style name, and then just add it on dash medium to illustrate that that file is for the medium drop. Now the next action will take a medium size drop and resize it to a small. So same thing. Click there, it's already done. Change this to small. And this is really effective for designers, for example. If you're creating, you know, your single design, you start off with a large, and you want to automatically resize, you know, to medium and small sizes for your customers on Etsy, for example, and you want to go ahead and give them already sized designs, so they're not asking you for those particular sizes. Or if you're an end user and, you know, you've got a designer who's created you one, and then you can go in and just automatically resize them quickly that way. The next one here will do a large to a small. I basically have to get back to a large, so I'm going to close this out. Take a second to close, and we'll open back up. And then, so again, this is the large size here, and we'll just resize from large to small. Click play. Same thing. I already have the small here, so I'm not going to bother saving, but this is now in the small size. The next action here is to duplicate. This will duplicate any particular size. It'll basically resize the canvas, duplicate the drop earring itself, the design, and then space them a 1/4 inch apart, which will give you space to, you know, if you're going to print them out and cut them, it'll give you a little space in there so you can get some scissors in there and trim those apart. So I'll click play on this. Goes through. This does also give you the option to save, and then you can see there that it went ahead and duplicated it and give you that spacing in there like I talked about. So on all of those first 4, where they have this box here beside it, it basically illustrates there's a stop in there because it's asking for your input to save these files. Now if you don't want that prompt and you just want to continue working on, basically you can click on this arrow, which essentially will expand the action set itself, and you can go into where the save function is, and you can just uncheck that option to save, and you can do that for each of these if you'd like. Uncheck there, and then finally on the duplicate. That's a little further down. There's a number of steps in there. Alright, so now all of those are turned off and they have the red check there, so it's not saving, it's not giving you that prompt here. So I had done this on the small one, so let's go back real quick. We'll close out. We'll open back up, and so this is the large, and so if I was to duplicate this, play, same thing, it just is on the larger size. So like I said, the duplicate action doesn't matter which size you have, but it will go ahead and duplicate and then add, there's a 1/4 inch of spacing in between here. So let me close this back out and we'll get to these last three. Alright, so with a large drop opened, we'll go ahead and click on this action, which is the large drop letter layout. Now what I did with this was create an action that duplicates the design itself and then does a letter sized 8.5 by 11 page layout with multiple designs, so you can print out basically a sheet of this design. I'll go ahead and click play. And zoom out. And you see now we have a series of 12 earrings for this particular layout. And then you can, I don't have this set up by default to save it all, basically with the thought that this was really meant for printing, and so you would just open up your designs, go ahead and do that layout, and then print them out so you can go ahead and get those pressed and made as final products. So I'll close this out now and open back up again. I'm really trying to illustrate by opening up as a new file that, you know, as you open any particular design that's designed for these blanks, that you can use, you know, the series of actions on, you know, a single, and that's really what it's made for. It is made for a single drop design. Now this one here will take your large drop, it'll resize it to a medium automatically, and then do a full page layout, a letter sized with the medium drops. Click play. Basically the same thing as the last action, it's just doing it to the medium sized, and I'll zoom out, and so the same thing. So on this one you have now 20 copies of the design. And then finally we have here the small drop, and I'm going to do that one a little bit differently to show. Let me close this out. And click here. Alright, so this is a large drop at the moment, so I'm going to go ahead and use the large to medium drop action, for example. Click play. So this is now a medium drop, and now I can go ahead and have this change from a medium automatically to a small, for example, by doing this. These actions will automatically resize as long as you have the larger size to start with. So if you have a large here, you're good to go. If you have a large and click on either the medium or the small, basically it'll automatically resize and do the full page layout for that. So we'll go ahead and click play. This one takes a little bit longer. This one has a total, now if I zoom out, of 35. Obviously is an odd number of earrings, which are typically in pairs, but just with the page layout itself, it's just what worked out, so you get an extra. So that's the action set itself. Now I did mention earlier there was one caveat for Elements users, and that is when these are created within Photoshop, these are typically start off as layer 1 when you open up a new design. So I'll show when I open up a new file here, this starts off as layer 1. The issue or difference with this actions, particularly these last three, are the only ones that rely on this. In Elements, and what I had tested, this starts off as layer 0. And these actions for the page layout are dependent upon that naming, because that's selected to duplicate those designs. So in Elements, you would basically just have to go in here and change that to layer 1, and then they would work just fine, just as I showed here. So I hope that helps, and this set of actions is valuable to you guys, saves you some time, and helps you out. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to message me. You got my contact info, and we'll see you again soon. Take care.